All right, welcome back everybody to another Course in Miracles teaching session. We're making our way through the first chapter of the text, which covers a lot of bases, summarizes a lot of topics. The last one in particular, just every paragraph was like a new topic that would actually cover like whole chapters or sections later on in the text. So if you were able to kind of follow me, then that's great. Because ultimately, like I mentioned before, each section of this text, it's not about getting to the end of it. It's not about accumulating a set of knowledge. It's more if you can sink deeply into each one of these sections, you can make it back just within one section itself, right? But our egos are complex. We think everything is complicated, and so this text uh, takes apart the beliefs of the ego little by little. So um, we're gonna sink deeply into another topic that I think is a really good one, which is the illusion of needs. It's going to be repetition. All of this is repetition, but it's going to be go a little bit deeper into some areas that can help us to grow. Um, so we'll pull up the text here and start to dive into it. This one's going to be a little bit more coherent in the sense that the whole section is all kind of about one topic, as opposed to the last one that really covered a different topic each paragraph. But essentially, what we learned last time was that wholeness, happiness, peace, what we're looking for, um, can only come through identifying the spirit. As long as we're identifying as an ego, we can't find that wholeness. We can't find that peace, right? And this is going to be another aspect of that same lesson, um, addressing our needs, our apparent needs. Just loading here. All right. So we'll start with just reading here. So you who want peace can find it only by complete forgiveness. No learning is acquired by anyone unless he wants to learn it and believes in some way that he needs it. Okay. So the first part here basically summarizes up the whole thing, right? Is that essentially what we really want is peace. It seems like we want a lot of things. It seems like we want food, we want shelter, we want good relationships, we want a good political situation in our country. We want the end of war. We want peace, peace on earth, right? But the truth is that we don't really want those things. Those are all illusions, all of them, even the most noble of them, even wanting to become enlightened, even wanting everybody to become enlightened, to become happy. That might seem like uh, um, a noble cause, right? But even that is an illusion because it's a declaration that everybody isn't already one, isn't already happy, isn't already um, uh, everything that they've always been looking for. So So here, just the first half a sentence, right? You who want peace is a huge part of this lesson. Well, if you can learn that, if you can learn that what you really want, not not your ego, not Patrick. Patrick doesn't want peace. He doesn't, can't. It doesn't make sense to him. It goes against everything that he thinks he is and wants and everything. Um, our egos want lack. Our egos want conflict. That's how they survive. If as soon as you realize you want peace, you're out of here. when you realize you only want the peace of God, then you're done. And how do we find that, right? And that's what this whole course is about, right? It's through the miracle, it's through forgiveness, it's through switching from fear to love, seeing the innocence in others, remembering who they are, and by extension, who we are. When we see that, we found the peace, and then we're home. Um, so forgiveness really offers us everything we could ever want. We don't think that. Our egos will vehemently deny it, but it's the truth. Um, so I mean, we could spend the whole the whole lesson on that first sentence, um, but that's the deepest part. And then what we're going to do is we're going to delve into what the ego thinks it means, right? Okay, so no learning is acquired by anyone unless he wants to learn it and believes in some way that he needs it. So here is another deep part of this lesson. So how do we get there? How do we get to learning that we want the peace of God? Because that is a lesson that we need to learn, because we don't believe that. I think I need food, I think I need money, I think I need a job, you know. Uh so how do we move from that into this deeper um knowing of what we really want, right? And so what he's teaching here is that um, in order for us to take on this task, right, of awakening, of moving inward and remembering who we are, we first have to learn it through the lack that we experience. So as long as we're in the ego, which is 100%, like pretty much 100% of the time for me, right? Or at least that I believe that I'm human. Um, there is a sense of lack, right? And so what happens is that pain. And if you're conscious of it, I think the more you awaken, the closer you get there, the more pain you're in, the more this lack starts to emerge, and it's there and it's insatiable and it's painful, it's awful, and you're miserable. Um, when you're in the ego, right? At least when you put 100% faith, when you're like 100%, I'm a human, I have needs, I need food, I need my car to work. Um, um, then the pain is there. But as soon as you start to withdraw your belief in it, the peace is right behind it. So essentially, again, what this sentence is saying is that we need to go inside, look at your feeling like you need food, look at your feeling like you need money, you're feeling like you're sick and you need to go see the doctor. Your need, it's cold outside and you need a house, you need a warm place to stay. Go to those and just sit with them. Sit with that lack, all of the little lacks that we live with as a human being. Each one of them individually is a ticket home. So all you need to do is look at your hunger or your need for food or your worry about there's not going to be enough food, right? Sit with that long enough. And the lack, what you do is you start to withdraw faith. Maybe I'm never upset for the reason I think. Maybe this hunger, maybe this lack, this need for food, or this worry about not having enough, maybe this isn't actually about the food, right? So you sit with that lack, sit with the lack, and when you're doing that, the lack that sometimes, yeah, the hunger or the pain or the worry will fade away, but often it won't. So sometimes it will actually grow. And I would say if you're allowing it to grow, as you're letting go of that, you're getting closer. You're getting closer to the deep work. As you sit with that lack, the pain, and you allow the belief that it's coming from not having enough food, shelter, money, or whatnot, as you allow that to grow, that lack What we need to recognize is that that lack is a lack of God. It is a lack of oneness. It is this every hunger, every need, every desire, all of it. If you just sit with it long enough and you allow it to grow and you realize, whoa, this actually isn't about food. This has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with the economy or the government or my medical license being taken away. It has nothing to do with that. All of it is a lack of God. It is a lack of remembering that I'm one with Him, remembering that I'm always loving, always innocent, at one with all my brothers and with God. That is what this lack is. And that is why it's excruciating. That's why you're in physical pain, because this pain of remembering the, the belief that we're separate from God is so painful, so excruciating that we would much rather have war. We would much rather be hungry and insecure and persecuted and your whole life thrown into the trash. Right? That feels way better than this lack that we all have within us when we believe that we're Patrick, that we're our ego character, um, and not spirit that's one with everyone of God. So that's kind of what they're saying here. No learning is acquired by anyone unless he wants to learn it. So we need to, the one of the first lessons is to realize that we're in excruciating pain. Not just a mild pain. This isn't just a mild hunger, right? This is this hunger and then making food and then eating it and then going to work and paying food, like to pay for your food to eat it, like, you know what I mean? Sit with that long enough and it is mind numbingly painful because there's no end to it and it never satisfies. And actually, that it seems to when you're early on in this, you know what I mean? All I need is just when you're happy with the crumbs, when you're happy with the crumbs that fall off the table. But when you've had a few of these oneness experiences, when you've had some of those revelatory experiences, everything that is not God and everything that is not unconditional love is excruciating pain. It's hell, right? So, what I invite you to do is sit with your pain, sit with it, allow it to grow, and that realizing that you're in excruciating pain every time that you're in your ego will be what allows you to learn this course because it's going to allow you to be like, oh, I'm in my ego. No thanks. I'm ready to remember who I am. But if we don't realize the pain of it, if we're happy with the scraps that fall off the table, right? The oh, you had a good meal and you're and you're not hungry right now, then you're good, right? Or you have a good job and everything seems to be going well for now. If that satisfies you, you're not ready for this course, right? I'm not to say that you can't follow around this course, but you're not ready to give up the ego entirely. So as you're getting ready for that, none of those will satisfy you. You know, the good job, the happy family, yeah, it just won't do it. Um, and so sit with the pain and realize that the pain is not about not having money. It's not about not having food. It's not about not having the things that you think you want, the perfect government or whatnot, medical license. It's not that. It is the lack of God. And anytime you believe you're in your ego, you are in pain. And when that clicks for you, that's when you'll finally be ready to let go of the ego. Okay, so let's make it past the second. Um, while lack does not exist in the creation of God, the creation of love, um, in heaven, right? Heaven, which is here right now, not the place you go after you die. It is very apparent in what you have, in the whole world of the ego, the world of bodies, of economy, of money, of trade, of all of the whole world, science, you know, all of it. Lack is inherent in it, and things that seem to be neutral, right? Seeing things that you know what I mean, like driving in a car, you know, like what neutral experiences that you thought, okay, well, that has nothing to do with awakening or not. What will eventually happen is these neutral experiences will become painful for you, right? Because you realize, oh, anything, any thought of the ego, a beautiful sunset, a mountainscape, the flowers blooming in the spring, eventually those will become painful experiences for you. That doesn't happen right away, but once you've had more and more of these experiences of forgiveness, of the peace and joy that comes with that, the unchangingness, the innocence, you will no longer be happy with scraps. It just won't satisfy anymore. And so that's why that early lesson in the text, in the workbook, right? There are no neutral thoughts, there are no neutral things. That will start to reveal itself. Okay. Um, so this lack is very apparent in what we admit in the world of the ego. It is, in fact, the essential difference between them. When you are in the world of the ego, in the world of separation of bodies, of planet Earth, um, there is lack in everything. And it seems mild at first, but it will grow. Lack implies that you would be better off in a state somehow different from the one you are in. Until the separation, or the apparent separation, which is the meaning of the fall, nothing was lacking. There were no needs at all. Needs arise only when you deprive yourself. You act according to the particular order of needs you establish. This, in turn, depends on your perception of what you are. So, so lack, yeah. So lack, which is the world of the ego, essentially puts us into the space of linear time, right? Because we sense this lack, we look outward, we think, oh, if I just make some more money, I will then be happy. My anxiety will be lower, right? So we're like, okay, well, now I need to get to a future state that's going to be better than the one that I'm in now. And so my fear, anxiety pushes me that way. I'll feel better that way, or desire will, or anger will, if you feel like somebody took your money and you need to get it back from them, right? But essentially, all of it comes from this lack that we think is because we lack something within the world. And so then that's what creates time a little bit, is that, oh, I need to get away from something in the past that is not good, and I want to move forward towards something that I want that will make me happy. And so that lack puts us in the world of linear time. Um, But before the separation, there was no time, because there was nothing lacking. There's nothing to move towards. We have all of it already, right? It is just an expansion in every direction of love, just of givingness, right? Um, so needs only arrive when we deprive ourselves. Not that we actually deprive ourselves, but by believing that we're a separate person, that I'm an ego character that's different and separate from others and from God, then that's where the lack really comes from. It's not a lack of money. It's not a lack of housing. It's not a lack of a good government. It's not a lack of a loving family. Um, it's a lack of God. Every single need we think we have. So we act according to the particular order of needs you establish. So, like I said, we think we have a ton of needs, and they all contradict each other, right? My need for uh, housing might contradict my need for something else, right? For money, right? Because I can't afford it, right? Oh, I need money, but I need housing. And then you gotta try to reconcile those, and kind of settle for your needs and compromise with others and all of that, right? So there's all these contradictions, and it's constantly moving and evolving, and that's actually written into the operating system. You can never have your needs satisfied within the world. Um, it just never happens, and it never lasts. And even those times when we think we got what we need, we think our life is going good, right? We got everything that we need. Even if you sit with that, that is also a painful experience, because you know it can't last, right? At the very least, you're gonna die, right? So, but that's the very least. So, like, but it's not even that it's going to be taken away, but you can just feel it. It feels fleeting. It doesn't feel stable. It's not this permanent state of innocence, of love, outflowing love, of all-encompassing power that that is what we're craving. It's so much more than even the best life could possibly give you. And we know that on some level. Look at the billionaires, they're miserable. The celebrities, nobody's happy. Nobody's happy here. Not even the most enlightened people. As long as they seem to be in a body, they're miserable. It's only not to say that all people are miserable. Actually, all of us are eternally happy. So as you tune into that, um, you'll some people can be tuned into that, but their ego characters aren't, right? And so uh, even enlightened people, like as long as they're a people, a separate self can't become enlightened, right? So there is no happiness here. Really, there isn't. You can't be in a body and be happy. You can seem to be in a body and be happy. You can be happy in spite of seeming to be in a body. But eventually that needs to be given up because it's a declaration that we're separate. It's an attack thought. Everybody is an attack thought. Okay. A sense of separation from God or from love is the only lack you really need correct. Once we remember that, everything else will take care of itself, right? Not even in the sense that it needs to work out. You don't even need it to, right? You're happy, you're in bliss, you're in nirvana. You don't need any of your needs to be met anymore. So that's why you can be happy crucified on a cross because you're not there. um, this sense of separation would never have arisen if you had not distorted your perception of truth and had thus perceived yourself as lacking. The idea of order of needs arose because, having made this fundamental error, you had already fragmented yourself into levels with different needs. As you integrate, you become one, and your needs become one accordingly. Unified needs lead to unified action because this produces a lack of conflict. So here he's describing essentially what is this process of forgiveness, right? So every time we forgive, we're forgiving a need. We're forgiving an unmet need, right? In that sense, right? Somebody did something wrong to you, you want that redressed. You want them to treat you better, or or whatever it might be. But essentially, there's some sort of a need that we see there. Um, or it might be a need for justice. It might be a need for reconciliation. It might be a need for um, harmony, money, um, power, whatever that might be in your forgiveness situation. Um, you only need to forgive it because you think you need something from it, right? You think you're lacking. You think you're a human being. So the process essentially is we go to all of our upsets. Anything that seems to bother you. It can be big things, it can be little things. And what we do is you go very deeply into the specifics. Go to that thing, and then what you do is you go inward and you see the light in them, you see the innocence, and you remember that about yourself. That's the forgiveness process. But we do it with specific situations, specific needs, specific things, that whatever brings up that pain within us. And we think that there's big things and little things, important things and not so important things. We think it's so important to forgive, Justin Trudeau and or you know what I mean, your mother who abused you. Those seem like important things to forgive, and we think it's less important to forgive the mosquito that, took a little bit of blood from you, or um, you know, whatever other person, the neutral things, right? Those are sometimes the hidden things. We don't think those are that important. But what you do is you go to the ones that seem big to you and do the ones that do seem little too, right? And eventually what happens is, like I said, the more you have these oneness experiences, everything becomes apparent that you need to forgive everything. You need to forgive uh, the need for food, the need to breathe, um, whatever it is um, that comes from identifying as an ego. So you start with the specifics, and eventually what happens is you start to realize, oh, this pain isn't from somebody mistreating me. This pain isn't from having a tyrannical maniac in the prime minister's office. This pain is my lack of God. This pain is from forgetting who I am. And that's when it generalizes. Then you realize that forgiving the mosquito, forgiving the beautiful sunset, which can only be experienced from a separate body looking at a separate sunset, when you realize that all of that must be forgiven, uh, and we don't think there's big things and little things, it eventually just becomes one. You realize, oh, wait, being an ego at all is hell. And then you forgive that. And that's when you eventually wake up entirely. But that happens gradually. You just, the work of this course is just to go to the specific things that are right in front of you, forgive those, connect with oneness within you, see the innocence in your brother. And as you do, they will eventually generalize until you realize that all of it must be forgiven. And then you let it go. And you'll do it happily, honestly, because being an ego is hell. We're just in denial about it. And so once we realize that we only have one, and we realize that specifically, not because we read it in a book, but we clicks within our mind. Oh, the need to breathe, the need to eat, to go to the bathroom. All of those are just, they're covers for the need for God. That's all I want, all I need. And that will click, and you'll be like, beam me up, Scotty. And we'll be out of here. Um, we'll just remember that we're already home, right? Um, yeah, so practice specifically, and eventually it will just all unify into one need, and that will just run your whole life forever, in eternity, as it always was. Okay. The idea of orders of need, which follows from the original error that one can be separated from God, requires correction at its own level before the error of perceiving levels at all can be corrected. So if we have somebody who's mistreating you, destroying your reputation or whatever, that seems like a need. I need a reputation. This is important to me. I'm really upset, right? I'm angry. I'm furious with this person. What do we do? It's not we go, oh, I'm gonna forgive the whole ego and let it all go. That's not what's going on within our mind. When we're sucked into the ego, we practice specifically. So we forgive at that level, and eventually that will click. The joy, the peace that comes from forgiveness will slowly awaken you to remember that that's what you wanted all along. Forgiveness offers me everything that I need. So you go, when we're sucked into the ego, practice specific. You cannot behave effectively while you function on different levels. While you think, oh, I have spiritual needs, I have physical needs, I have social needs. Not we all live that way. We believe that we're egos. So it's not about becoming an enlightened being that suddenly, lives on a mountaintop and doesn't eat. It's not that, because then you're still believing that you're the ego. Actually, you just allow all those things, but you're float above. So Patrick can be as ego as he wants, um, um, because that's where we get a little bit trapped right into that spiritual ego. I need Patrick to become a spiritual person. No, you want to allow Patrick to be as awful and vengeful and evil as he seems to be, that will eventually not shine through, really, but you just allow it, allow the feelings to come up, and just realize that forgiveness is all you're here to do. You're the loving presence behind your ego character. But that's what you do, practice specifically. Um, and you'll eventually, your consciousness will start to float higher and higher. So you cannot behave effectively while you function on different levels. However, while you do function on different levels, where we're torn in every direction as an ego, um, correction must be introduced vertically from the bottom up. This is because you think you live in space, where concepts such as up and down are meaningful. Ultimately, space is as meaningless as time. Both are merely beliefs. Um, so that's just kind of a repetition of kind of what we said. We start from the bottom and we move up until we realize there is no bottom enough. The real purpose of this world is to use it to correct your unbelief. So this is a huge lesson. When we realize that everything, because what we think is everything has different purposes. I have my car, which is supposed to get me from A to B and drive my partner to his job, and so we need it to do those things, right? So I get attached to those things, and when it breaks down, I get panicked, right? How are we going to get to work? How am I going to pay the bills, right? So what's panicking there is I'm perceiving a purpose for something, a car that can be neutral when it seems to be working well. As soon as it starts to break down, it brings to the surface a purpose that I've put into this thing that seems to be to fulfill a need as a human being. So what does that do? It brings worry, it brings panic, it brings anger or whatever when things don't work out the way I want it to. So what purpose can we bring in for everything that will bring peace, bring unified purpose? And that is forgiveness. When we realize that everything, the air you breathe, the car you drive, the house you live in, when you realize that, okay, the purpose of this is not to protect me, it's not to get me from point A to point B reliably, it's here for forgiveness. Everything that is there for to help me to awaken. And so if something breaks down and breaks my bank and like, makes me not be able to buy food because I need to fix the car, that can bring you peace when you realize, oh, that's because my car is here for me to forgive. My car is here to wake me up. It's not here to get me around. It's not here to, help me to get to a job to make money. It's here only for forgiveness. And so and that forgiveness, when you see through this world, I see, okay, wait, this world of egos is a hellscape of separation. So this pain of believing that I'm here is a gift because it's an invitation for forgiveness, and forgiveness, which is seeing through it to the light, remembering who I really am as spirit, one with everyone, one with the mechanic who's maybe charging me too much um, to fix my car. Um, when I can see the oneness and innocence in that, then that is so much greater than even getting to my job and getting getting money to buy food to eventually need money again, right? This endless rat race of the ego. So then what you can realize is when things go wrong, when your roof strikes, like it starts leaking or it burns down, you can be joyful and happy when that happens, because when you have that unified purpose of realizing that everything is here only to be forgiven, that's when you'll have 100% peace all of the time. But as soon as you allow one other purpose to think that, okay, well, I'm going to forgive some things, but I still need food, I still need money, I still need my family, I still need my children to love me, or my parents to, have a good relationship with me or whatnot. As soon as you think you need those things, the misery, the lack, the the world of separation has crept in. But when we replace it with the Holy Spirit's intention, which is only forgiveness for everything, then there's no worry anymore. It can break down, it can work well, it cannot, it doesn't matter. All of it's here to be forgiven. And when that comes, you just have this unperturbable peace that can never be threatened, because forgiveness makes you so much happier than having a good life. You'll never want a good life as an ego when you feel the joy of forgiveness. Okay. Okay, so the real purpose of this world is to use it to correct your unbelief. You can never control the effects of fear yourself because you made fear and you believe in what you made. In attitude, then, though not in content, you resemble your creator, who has perfect faith in his creations because he created them. Belief produces the acceptance of existence. That is why you can believe what no one else thinks is true. It is true for you because it was made by you. So here's a repetition, just in a different way, of that lesson that we started off with last week, which was that our minds, we are created in the image of God. Our minds are extremely powerful, way more than we want ourselves to think. Uh, um, our minds are creative machines. They're a projector, because the content, right, which you said, we don't, when we're in our ego, we don't resemble God in the content of it. Because what we've done is we've taken that projector that's projecting this movie that we seem to be living in, but we've taken out the content, which was love before. When we were in heaven, when all we had, when we realized all that is real is love. And then what happens is we project out love. And so we have our creations, which are our brothers. It's one another that are come out of this outflowing of powerful love that wants to share that love. And so we have others that we share it with. They're not really separate. We're all one, but it's just this outflowing of powerful love. So what we've done is we've taken that content out of the mind and we put in their fear. And so what we see in the world, our brothers are our enemies, right? They're separate beings, right? We sometimes, even the ones that um, we seem to love, are they come and go, right? They die. You know, they're sometimes loving, sometimes not. And want to be it's we want to be one and close with the ones we love. We want to be away from the ones that seem to be evil within the world, right? And so that what we've done is we've replaced in that projector the love with fear. And so because our mind is so powerful and creative, as not as Patrick's mind, this is the mind of the dreamer of this world. We believe in what we've created, just as God believes in us, right? So this world seems very real. It feels the threats that are coming after us, the nuclear war, the war in the Middle East, the economic crash that is impending, right? The inflation and whatnot. All of those things, they feel very real. You can see the proof of them on the outside. That's just because your mind is so powerful. And so how do we change that? How do we move away from this hellscape created in the world, and remember the truth of that in heaven? It's one, to remember that no matter how real things are, the proof doesn't come from the outside. All of it comes from our belief in it. So if we withdraw belief in the ego, fear in the world, and the governments and all these threats that seem to be around us, we withdraw them and we remember that all that matters is the content. And so when we ask the Holy Spirit for help, we remove the fear, go to how we feel about it, and ask the Holy Spirit to help us to see the call for love and awaken that love within us. When that happens, immediately we've left the world of the ego and we then see the forgiven world. We can look on the same apparently same things like war, crimes, murder, whatever it might be that we see in the news or whatnot. And what we can see is a call for love. Then we can see the innocence. You're looking on the same things, but the story has changed. And what you'll eventually see, you'll see past the bodies, you'll see past the sin, the error, and you'll see it just as a call for love. And that will awaken within you um, the love that casts out all fear, that looks and sees anything that's fearful as just illusion. And that is the powerful creative love that will heal the world. That's what our mission is. As we forgive, as we awaken the love, as we transform what we see in the world from evil, awful destruction, conflict, and see it all as a call for love and awaken, allow that love to flow through us, this world will actually be what brings you so much love and peace. And the worse it seems to be, the more love it evokes out of you, and you'll be grateful for all of it. All aspects of fear are untrue because they do not exist at the creative level, right? In heaven, the extension of love. And so that's all that is real. And so therefore, these fearful pictures that we see on the screen don't really exist at all. To whatever extent you are willing to submit your beliefs to this test, to that extent are your perceptions corrected. So when you bring those beliefs, those fears, the anger, the depression, the shame, the guilt, bring them all up, bring them, feel the pain of them, offer them to the Holy Spirit and ask him to help you to see it differently. The Holy Spirit's really you. It's help, that the part of you that remembers who you really are, to see it in truth, to see the call for love. When that happens, the story changes. You switch from the ego script to Holy Spirit script. In sorting out the false from the true, the miracle proceeds along these lines. Perfect love casts out fear. If fear exists, then there is not perfect love. But only perfect love exists. If there is fear, it produces a state that does not exist. Believe this and you will be free. Only God can establish this solution, and faith is his gift. It sounds like a lot of words, but it is a practical thing. So perfect love is all powerful, right? And in truth, it's all there really is. God is perfect love. God created us and must create us in his image. Therefore, we must be perfectly loving and all powerful as well. And if that's really true, then there's nothing to fear. So if we are experiencing fear, then it doesn't align with that. There's a does not compute, going on, in our computer, right? And we cover that up. We realize, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. If God is love, and if God created us, then what is this fear? This fear is a declaration that we're not one with God, right? So there's the separation. And that seems like a semantic thing, but if you sit with it and realize that it doesn't make sense, what I'm seeing, this world of destruction, of death, of conflict, of endless needs, that never stop and become increasingly painful. How could a God create this, right? This doesn't make sense. And if you realize it doesn't make sense, eventually your mind will eventually have to choose one. You sit with the cognitive dissonance long enough. Our ego loves to just cover it up. Oh, wait a second. Those are just words. Perfect love casts out all fear. That's a nice little saying. You know what I mean? But sit with it. Perfect love created us. I am as God created me. So why do I experience myself as this miserable wretch? you know, Sit with that and you'll realize it makes zero sense. And when that clicks, you'll be able to choose one. Right? Only one of these is true. If fear exists, then there is not perfect love. So if you're experiencing fear, you're declaring there is no perfect love. God is not real. God is dead. Or love is dead. But if you've had a few of these experiences of love, then you realize, wait a second, only one of these can be true. You can't deny it. Once you've had that experience, you can't, it's not a belief in God. It is a knowing. And these lines that he's putting here that just sound like nice words, but this is a big part of the practice of the course, of realizing, pulling out, wait a second, these don't match up, doesn't work. And when you sit with that long enough and you feel the pain of it, you eventually can realize, okay, well, wait, either it's all fear is truth, or love is truth. Pick one, because only one can really be true. The ego likes to cover it up and keep you confused with all these different arrays of needs and wants and catastrophes and whatnot. But really, it's either love or fear. And when you realize that deeply, you'll be able to choose one. When you're in the confusion, it feels like, oh, there's a bit of love in the world, there's a bit of fear, there's a bit, a bit of this, a bit of that. That's the confusion of the ego. Sit with that. Sit with it long enough, and you'll realize there's a choice. There's not a million different choices, not a million different needs. There's only one need. That's to let the world of fear, the world of needs, go, and remember that your only need is of God, and that need has already been met. It's not, we're not actually lacking. Your only need is unconditional love, to give unconditional love as you were created. So yeah, if you're able to have that experience enough, you can make that declaration. Hey, well, wait, only perfect love exists. That has to be the truth. I've experienced that. I've had this oneness experience, and so that has to be the truth. And so therefore, if I'm experiencing fear, it must produce a state that's not exist. This must be illusion. And so that's when your forgiveness will just you'll go into hyperdrive in your awakening, because you're not just moving from fear to love with the college who took away my license and maybe ruined my life or whatever. You realize that, oh wait, so okay, I've forgiven that and I've come to a place of love. I'm actually happier. And then I forgive, my car that's broken down, and I can move into love there. And I can, oh, okay, well, I feel peace. I actually feel better than having a good car. This love this forgiveness awakens is actually better. Okay. Again, they feel discreet, but then I realize soon it happens quicker and quicker. As soon as you recognize the fear, oh, wait, that's illusion. That's not really true. And then all of a sudden, all of the fear will eventually just lift, and you'll give them up all as one. So it seems like you need to forgive all these little things, but eventually your mind will go, wait, what I'm forgiving is the fear. I'm not forgiving the college that took away my license. That's illusion. Wait, if I'm feeling fear, boom, I know I'm an ego. I know that it's not true. That's illusion. And so it will happen quicker and quicker and deeper levels. And that's what they're talking about with these different levels. And you realize that what you're forgiving is fear itself. What you're forgiving is the original separation. You're not forgiving these discrete things. What you're forgiving is not your needs for justice and your need for food and your need for money. What you're forgiving is the need for God. And you don't need God because you have God. And once that's forgiven, you're done. Right? So that's like, the first time I read through these lines, I'm kind of, okay, perfect love casts out all fear. Like, what is that? Okay, those are some nice words. Okay, if you just recite them the right way, do something for you. And I just skipped over that the first time I read it. But then it started to click. Oh no, this is the formula. When you sit with it and realize it on a deep level, it will lead to your awakening. That's why every section of this course, you can bring it home, right? You don't need the whole course. But so when you're ready, a certain passage will speak to you, and will heal your wounds. heal your blocks to the awakening of love. And this whole section too, I'll just bring you back pretty quickly. It's just a different way of saying what the introduction to the course says, right? Nothing real can be threatened. So the perfect love that we are, that God is, that your brother is, despite the fact that he looks like an evil maniac, he actually is love. So nothing that can never be threatened. So there is no guilt. Whatever you seem to do, whatever they seem to do, none of that was ever real. So the real love behind the insanity can never be threatened. So you don't need to feel guilty. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to do. And therefore, nothing unreal exists. So all these world of illusions, all of your needs, all of your catastrophes, all your problems and the conflicts and the crazy governments, uh, those don't really exist. Once you get in touch with the love, remember who you really are, you can forgive it all as one. And so it's not this whole ordeal of fixing and healing the world. And it can, when we really get it, when we really find the peace of God, we'll realize that everyone is already healed. There's nothing to do. Herein lies the peace of God, right? So I thought that's a good way to kind of sum that up. All right. So I'll open it up if anybody wants to share any insights or questions or anything here. And if not, we'll move into the meditation.
Just that realization of oneness, right? I was listening to a tape by somebody else today, and he said, you can only have war with two. And so
Mm,
there's one, not God and,
yeah.
right? Just the one. And that perfect love casteth out fear. So, just uh, that anything that we're fearing are just our beliefs and our concepts in that separate self,
Mm,
seeing something separate from ourself.
yeah. And that's the cause of fear. Yeah, exactly. It's illusion. And so when you can see that and you recognize it quicker and quicker, then you can move right back into the peace. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, friend. Okay, all right, so let's move to meditation in the lesson. Uh, I'll just pull out something here before we go into it. So it's lesson 76. I am under no laws but God's. And this is kind of just it's another version of this lesson on needs, right? This illusion that we have needs as ego. We think that, and they're all just projections out of one need that we have within us. And so we think we have all these laws we have to obey. We need to work to make money. We need to treat people well and they'll treat us well, right? So there's the reciprocity and whatnot. And I think it's kind of beautiful because we believe in all these things. We practice. We think we need to breathe, right, to live. Comes down to all these little things. You need to walk to get from one place to another. These are all little beliefs within the mind, um, these laws that we think we need to obey. None of them are true. We're the dreamer of all of this, and so it allows us when we can see through it and remember who we really are. We can transcend the laws of physics, the laws of time, the laws of space, the laws of guilt and punishment, the laws of um, economics, of medicine, all of those are creations of the ego. So we can see them all as illusion and really know it, um, they'll be undone. Okay, the whole world of all these laws of science and technology and whatnot is all created within our mind. And they only seem real because we put our faith in them. When we withdraw our belief in them and um, make this declaration, right? There's no laws but God's. This is not Sky Daddy. This is not the man in the sky, says, obey what I say, and we'll follow God's laws, and then you'll be rewarded with heaven. This is not what this is talking about. This is there are, and I find it can be really helpful with a lot of these things to remove that association um, by replacing God with love, because God is love. I mean, what you do is whatever works best for you, as long as you have that understanding. This is not the man in the sky who has a bunch of rules we have to follow. This is the laws of spirit. This is the laws of love, which the whole course kind of goes through, but they are, in order to have and to remember that you have, you need to give. So they're the laws of givingness. They're the laws of unconditional love, of extending love, of forgiveness, of seeing the truth and the innocence in everyone. These are the laws that we're talking about. And when we realize that they are all that matters, that we remember that we're a giving, all-powerful, peaceful spirit that's one with everyone. These are the laws that nothing ever happened. Everyone is innocent. These are the only laws that matter. So these are the laws of God, that God can only create loving, perfect, unlacking creatures, right? Can't create these lacking bodies. So that's kind of what they're referring to here, and I think that can be really helpful. So you can, if it helps you, you can say there are no laws but loves, right? Knowing that love is God.
And
But
the
that
other way to, and the
yeah,
other way to say that is that love or God is the only cause. And so
yeah,
then it's the only effect. But
yeah,
if we're putting cause into things, objects, then we're going to experience the effect of that from that human perspective. But if we always come back to there's only one cause, then there can only be one effect.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's very beautifully put. I'm just going to read one paragraph here because I think it really speaks to me quite a bit. So think of the freedom in the recognition that you are not bound by all the strange and twisted laws you have set up to save you. You really think that you would starve unless you have stacks of green paper strips and piles of metal discs. You really think that a small round pellet or some fluid pushed into your veins through a sharpened needle will ward off disease and death. You really think that you are alone unless another body is with you. It is insanity that thinks these things. You call them laws and put them under different names in a long catalog of rituals that have no use and serve no purpose. You think you must obey the laws of medicine, of economics, and of health. Protect the body and you will be saved. These are not laws, but madness. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. The body suffers just in order that the mind will fail to see it is the victim of itself. So anyway, the mind is the only cause here. And it's that choice to believe in separation. That's the only cause of all the lack and all the suffering within the world. And remember that we're one, that we're innocent, loving, it all goes away. All right. Uh, it's very tempting because it's so poetic and so beautiful. I just want to read through the whole thing, but we'll just be repeating that meditation. So I'll move to that.
Welcome to Free Your Mind, an experiential daily practice designed to dissolve past programming and expand your awareness of your true self beyond the matrix illusion of fear, lack, and separation. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, close your eyes and let go of all memory and anticipation. Bring your full awareness to the now, this holy instant. The purpose of this practice is to enable you to bring unconditional and unwavering peace with you into any and every circumstance, and to heal the stress and turmoil. This is not done through avoidance or seeking a haven of isolation for yourself. You are here to discover that peace is an intrinsic part of you and requires only that you be there in full consciousness to embrace any situation in which you are. And as you practice, you will learn that there is no limit to where you are, so that your peace is everywhere as you are. Now take one more deep, slow, full breath in. And as you exhale, allow your body and your mind to relax. And let's begin. I am under no laws but God's. With your eyes remaining closed, repeat this several times to yourself now. And feel into the meaning of this idea. I am under no laws but the laws of God. True laws simply denote the way things are. They are not impositions on beings, making them do things out of fear of punishment. True laws are like the laws of nature, natural law. Law that simply describes the way the universe works as it was created. There is no judgment implicit in these laws. There's no fear. Like the law of buoyancy, certain things float on water and certain things do not. There is no fear in this, and there is no imposition. It is simply the way things are. Open your awareness now to the laws of God, the spiritual law of the way things are in truth. In the dream, it is possible to imagine many laws. It is possible to go to man for laws and ask man what is right and what is wrong. And the dream figures will tell you what you should do to be safe in the dream, according to their own wisdom. And yet consider the laws of the dream world. How many of those laws are to uphold your freedom and your happiness? And how many of those laws simply serve to bind you, to control you, and to extract payment from you? We have observed before how many things in the dream have seemed to you to be salvation to be happiness and freedom. How many people, places, events, and circumstances seem to promise to give you the happiness and fulfillment that you are after. Rather than giving you that happiness, they have imprisoned you with senseless laws on which you think your happiness depends. You are not bound by these laws. Yet to understand that this is so, you must first realize that freedom and happiness is not contained in any of these outside sources. While you would seek for it in the world of separation, you bind yourself to laws which make no sense. This is your ego's attempt to prove that it is right, that your happiness can indeed be found in some temporal circumstance. Be glad that this cannot be proven, for if it could, you would forever seek where happiness is not, and never find your freedom. Salvation from all suffering, salvation from the dream of separation is simple. Look for it where it is, and there it can be found. Feel into the freedom of recognizing now that you are not bound by all the strange and twisted laws that you have agreed to in your search for freedom and happiness. What you seek is already and always within you. It was placed in you by God in your creation. God extended its being to you, extending and sharing every divine and perfect quality with you. All that you seek in terms of happiness, freedom, and fulfillment comes from the inside out and never from the outside in. Think of all the ways in which you imagine that safety, fulfillment, freedom, or happiness could come from the outside in. Think of the laws that you believe in, the laws that you believe will protect your safety and assure your well-being. While you're identified with your dream character self, you really think that you would starve if you had no positive numbers in your bank account. You really think that a small capsule or some fluid pushed into your veins through a sharpened needle will ward off death. And you really think you are alone unless another body is with you. It is the dream character mind that thinks these things. You take them to be real. You take them to be laws and put them under different names in a long catalog of rituals that have no use to your true self and therefore serve no real purpose. You believe you must obey the so-called laws of medicine, of economics, and of health. Their claim is, protect the body and you will be saved. These are dream laws and have no basis in reality and no relationship whatsoever to your true self and your true state of being. The body is not endangered by the circumstances people and objects in the dream. The body is endangered by the dreaming mind that attacks and hurts itself in its dreams of separation. The body is only the projection of the mind and appears to suffer, while the mind fails to see it is the victim of itself. The body's suffering is a mask that the ego thought system holds up to hide what really suffers. It would not understand that it is its own enemy, that it attacks itself and wants to die. It is from this ignorance and confusion in the mind that the so-called laws in the dream would supposedly save you and protect your body. It is out of this very confusion that you think you are a body. Take a moment now and contemplate this. There are no laws but God's. This needs repeating over and over until you realize that it applies to everything in the dream that is made in opposition to God's will. God's are the laws of love. They are made to assure that love is the only reality, that oneness is never interrupted, that eternity never ends, and that the self that you are, in truth, remains in the glory, in the eternal glory in which God created it. These are the only laws that there are, in truth. The laws of the dream are magic, and dream magic has no meaning in reality. What it is meant to save does not exist in truth. Only what it is meant to hide will save you. And what it is meant to hide is your true self, the self that you really are, as God created you, and not as you imagine yourself or remember yourself now. The laws of God can never be replaced or superseded. Let us devote this day to rejoicing that this is so. It is no longer a truth that we would hide. We realize instead it is a truth which keeps us free forever. Magic induces you deeper into the dream of separation, but the laws of God set free. The light has indeed come, because there are no laws but God's. Let's practice. Take a deep, slow, and full breath now. Breathe all the way to the top. And as you exhale, relax your body and your mind. Allow your shoulders to drop and your face to relax. Open your awareness to this holy instant, to the now. No past, no future. Just this. And begin now with a brief review of some of the different kinds of so-called laws we have believed that we must obey. These may include, for example, the laws of nutrition, of immunization, of medication, and of the body's protection in innumerable ways. Think further too. You may believe in laws of friendship, of good relationships, and reciprocity. Perhaps you even believe that there are laws which set forth what is God's and what is yours. Many so-called religions have been based on this, but they cannot save and liberate, and only draw you deeper into the dream of separation, all in heaven's name. There are countless dream laws that you believe must be obeyed to keep you safe. No laws but God's keep you safe. And there are no laws but God's. And God's are the laws of love, the laws of oneness. Today, dismiss all dream-based magical laws that depend on the world of separation, and prepare your mind in silent readiness to hear the voice of your inner teacher that speaks the truth to you. So take a few moments now to review the laws that you believe would keep you safe, and dismiss each one, saying, "There are no laws but God's," and move on to the next. Do this now. And now, open your mind in silent readiness to listen. You will be listening to the voice of oneness within you, which says that there is no loss or lack possible under the laws of God. Payment is neither given nor received. Exchange cannot be made. There are no substitutes, and nothing is replaced by something else. The infinite Creator's laws forever give and never take. Then listen further and hear the voice of oneness tell you about the love your Creator has for you and about the endless joy God shares with you. Alternate longer periods of listening in silence with the repetition of today's idea, and feel into what it means that there are no laws but God's. Do this now. And as you draw near the conclusion of this practice period, repeat one more time. I am under no laws but God's. And in this resonance, take a deep, slow, and full breath in, drawing this recognition into your awareness and being. And hold your breath at the top as you hold the intention to integrate this practice into your thought system. And as you exhale now, relax and release and let the integration take place. And remember bring this idea with you into the rest of your day, repeating this dedication as often as possible today, perhaps some 4 or 5 times an hour. I am under no laws but God's. Use this idea too in answer to any temptation to experience yourself as subject to any other laws throughout the day. I am under no laws but God's. It is our statement of our freedom from all danger and tyranny. It is our acknowledgement that God is our creator and that his children, you and I, are already and always safe.
Right. Hopefully that was as powerful for you guys as it was for me. Yeah, it's kind of all of our needs, right? Our needs are laws, right? Just to tie it into the lesson before, right? Our need to eat, our need to breathe, our need to pay our taxes and stay out of jail. All of these are little laws that we follow, the laws of traffic and whatnot. It doesn't mean you go out and try to break all those, but if you're worried about them, worried you might be speeding too fast or get in trouble, then you're making yourself subject to them. We are under no laws but the laws of love, which means that all of that, whether it's driving, whether it's getting a ticket, whether it's avoiding a ticket, all of it is an opportunity for forgiveness, to remember, to see through the darkness to the light behind it. Anyway, it's a powerful one because it pulls out. I love the ones that pull out all the little beliefs that are hidden in the mind. Everything you do every day, right? To the laws of heating your house, the laws of all those things that are tasks that you do, right? And you don't think about it, but you're making a declaration. I need to heat my house to be happy. And that it's a little thing that sucks us into the ego. It doesn't mean you shouldn't heat your house, but if you believe in it, if it worries you in some way, if you think your happiness comes from lighting a fire in the morning, whatever, if you have a wood stove like me, it seems subtle, but I love these ones that tease out little things, little laws, little things that make up our whole reality, and realize, oh, we can let go of that, right? We can see through that. We can forgive it. And then sometimes they're little things that you don't think of. It's a random thing that you think the laws of agriculture or something, right? There might be one thing for you. You don't like it if you pick up this practice, right? Of just throughout the day, just noticing it and making that declaration. Wait a second, I'm not subject to that. I'm not subject to the law of watering my plants. And then they'll be happy and live. Like that's not if it bothers you, if there's some lack that you're experiencing within yourself, and that's what's leading you to water your plants, then it's something to be forgiven. Seems very neutral, seems maybe even a happy thing. But if there's some lack, notice the lack in everything in the world of the ego. All these little laws, they're all laws of separation. They're all declarations that there's something lacking and something needs to be done. So you can still seem to do those things, but there's a part of our mind that doesn't, that can watch Patrick doing these things and be like, oh, you think that'll make you happy. But it won't. And you can kind of joyfully just watch, even if your ego character is freaking out about something, there's a peaceful part that's behind being like, no, you're under no laws but God's. You can be happy as your life goes up in flames and turns into a dumpster fire. Your peace is right here. And actually, it might be easier to access during those times. So you're under no laws but God's. Your innocence, your love, it's always there. You just need to choose it. And you can choose it in any moment when your life is going well or when all these laws seem to be making your life happy. All right. I'll open it up if anybody wants to make any comments on the record. If not, I'll end the recording.
Well, just exactly what you said. If we're able to stay awake and aware enough, everything that we're clinging to or fearing is that opportunity just to realize that I am giving power. I'm making this belief, this concept that's causing me to cling or fear. I'm making that a law unto myself. I'm giving it cause.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm in resistance to that, as long as I stay in fear, I can't let it go.
Mhm.
But as soon as I wake up and just say, oh, then I can let it go.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I can return to truth. And that letting go is that forgiveness, right? But as long as I'm resisting it, it has the power. It's my law.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're so right. And I think once you had enough of those experiences, the peace that comes from recognizing that and then having that switch, that's the miracle, right? That switch from fear to love. Eventually, like what you said, you can be grateful actually when these things pop up, right? When the laws of taxation, the tax man's coming at you or whatever, they come up and you realize, oh, okay, wait, oh, actually that's something to forgive. It's not something to actually be afraid of. And that will actually make me happier because you're now able to heal something that's been lurking in your mind. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Prim. All right. Okay, so I think that's it for this week. And I'll just end the recording here. Thanks, guys.